Many thanks for staying with us. We're still talking Ghana football. It's all about the GFA. Like I said, you know how tumultuous the season has been for them. Well, 7 people say perhaps they have the magic wand. We'll see what they have in their message, what they have in their plans. We're at the moment scrutinizing that of Mr. Nana Yao Amfonsa here. Nana Yao, well, welcome back to the show again. And let's continue where we left off. You talked about, before we went off, you talked about the normalization committee and whether or not they've performed, so to speak. What are your own thoughts about the work of the normalization committee?
I feel that the work was not too focused through no fault of theirs, because when FIFA gave them the mandate, it had 3 key areas: to run the daily affairs of the FA, to review the statutes and run an election. In other jurisdictions, the running of the league is separated from the work of the FA. So I think it's something that FIFA did not take really into consideration. So the normalization committee were pushed more or less to run a novelty competition, which took away a lot of their focus. My view then was that the legal framework, which is the statutes and the general regulations, should have been tackled first and foremost, so that we would test those legal frameworks with the competition after they've ended their tenure in March. Then that's earlier in March. However, because they had to do all other things together with the league
at the same
time, we did not get the opportunity. Now they have finished the legal framework, and we are going to test it with a proper competition, that is the league. So if there are any hiccups, we will not have an opportunity to correct those until we are done with the season. This is something that I felt that shifted their focus quite a bit, leading to the extension of their mandate, and now they've had a further extension. So all in all, I like to mark them at the end of everything. When they have conducted a successful, free and fair elections, then I can say they had a distinction or a pass. What
would you have done if you were leading the normalization committee?
The first thing I would have done was to review the statutes, make sure that the legal framework was solid. Then we test it with a novelty competition alongside running the national team activities. I would have also urged the government then to pay some compensation to the clubs for the truncated season, because clubs spend a lot of money on the truncated season, and then rather the normalization committee took money from government and gave to the clubs to play in another competition, while the losses they made in the truncated season still, remain on their accounts.
Interesting. Now let's look at the competition you're into. Who do you think, I mean, there's quite a number of people on there, 6 other people competing for the same position as you. Who do you think is your biggest headache?
My biggest headache is myself, because I believe I'm leading the pack. I believe I've demonstrated enough ability, I've demonstrated enough vision and commitment to that vision. I was expecting, when I launched my manifesto as far back as 2017, many of today's aspirants said that we don't run Ghana football with manifestos. And this week we have been inundated with a lot of manifestos. I am moving a notch higher to start implementing at least 10% of my manifesto. I believe that it's not just about manifestos, it's about commitment to the vision that you have. So I am my own threat. If I continue to, do what I'm doing, I don't see anybody surpassing me. The bottom line is that many of my competitors have been with the old administration for 13 years, and I would have expected that they will be campaigning on their achievements and not promises. But at the moment, they are campaigning on promises, what they will do when they come to power. Some of them have tasted power. Some of them have had the chance to be vice presidents. Some of them have had the chance to be Blaster Management Committee chairman. Some of them have had the chance to work with grassroots, work on boots and books. They should be accounting for their stewardship and not making further promises.
Isn't it because people like yourself have not been able to hold them accountable?
They should hold themselves accountable first before even any other person.
Well, the people who say that they want to fix the problems of the GFA should be able to hold people accountable.
That is where the delegates come in. When they come to you and say they're going to do A, B, C, D, please ask them questions. You gave them stewardship for more than a decade. Please ask them what they did with it 14 years and what they are going to do different this time around. You need to ask them whether there were contributions over the 10 years were not taken on board by the then leader. If their contribution, or whether they did not contribute at all. These are the questions we need to ask them. I believe that we need to move Ghana football beyond corruption. We need to move Ghana football beyond nepotism and cronyism. We need to move Ghana football beyond hooliganism, and we need to move Ghana football beyond the poverty that grassroots football people go through. We need to share the national cake and the global cake to the benefit of all and sundry. I've told you, you don't need to be my friend to benefit from my administration. When I bring the sponsorship, you will not be discriminated against. If you're in Division 1 and Division 1 clubs are getting sponsorship, you will all have your fair share of the cake. All
right. No, so my final question before I go to something about the vetting committee. You spoke about commercializing our sports. Let's just say commercializing our football, because that's where the GFA really is headed. What is the plan to commercialize it? People have talked about it a lot.
Yeah, there are various revenue streams that comes into our game. Let me tackle the first one, which is the transfer of players, for instance. Our football economy is an export one. But the question we need to ask ourselves, are we getting true value for the players we transfer? As far back as 2009, when we won the Under-20 World Cup, I had just become a FIFA agent, and I was excited that we were going to sell our players for huge sums of money. As the Brazilians who played second were selling their players for $10 million, $8 million, $9 million, we were struggling to sell for $200,000. I traveled to Brazil, and that was when I discovered that their league structure and system had been built well enough, well marketed, well packaged to cover average players to even sell at that price. Then I also discovered that their league systems have been enrolled on statistical and video analytical platforms. So those figures they quote are backed by facts and figures. Here, we do not have same. Let's just think for a second. If you pick Great Olympics and Inter-Allies and put them in the same setting as the Emirates Stadium, same set of fans, same camera angles, you see beautiful football. Pick Arsenal and say Tottenham, put them at the Doma Park, same setting, and you see the difference. We need to package our game to be able to attract the right figures. There's a reason why iPhone sells higher than Nokia.
Again, I come to your plan of packaging our
so you enroll the list on statistical platforms like Soccer Association. As far back as 2009, I contacted Soccer Association and I contacted the FA when Mr. Webber was the PLB chairman. He said it's a fantastic idea. In the end, I was told that they had only one IT person and he could not be overburdened with this. In 10 years, 10 years down the line, if we have sold players to the tune of $10 million, it could have been $100 million, which comes into this football economy. If House of Oak sells a player for $1 million, they will go to Fire Rangers and buy a replacement for $100,000. Fire Rangers can go to a Division 2 and buy a replacement for $20,000. And the Division 2 can go to a Coast Club and buy a replacement for $55,000. That amount of money trickles down. When I mention 1 million, people might think, oh, this is too much. But there is a second division team, an academy in Ghana, selling players for $2 million.
I see. Interesting.
Right to Dream Academy.
Interesting. So we'll see whether or not the delegates will deem you fit enough to put you there to man the affairs of the GFA. But in the meantime, we're picking some information about the vetting committee. Some have said that the head of the normalization committee, it seemed to be a lawyer who is on the normalization, who is on the vetting committee, who seems to be to also do some personal work for the head of the normalization committee, and some of the candidates have concerns about this. You must have known about this.
Yes, I've heard it, but you see, when it comes to issues of potential conflict of interest, first you need to establish the potential conflict of interest, and conflict of interest can always be cured by disclosure. Sometimes people think that once there's a potential conflict of interest, that's the end of the story. But conflict of interest in law can be cured by disclosure, and people can recuse themselves when they realize that there is some potential conflict of interest after disclosing. So at the end of the day, if the normalization committee president, I don't think that he is a contestant or an aspirant in this case. He is not going to face the vetting committee. Also, there are other panel members on there. There are about 5. So I'm sure he is a lawyer, he knows the practices. If he feels that there's any potential conflict of interest, he can recuse himself.
I see. You're not one of those who are bothered by the presence of someone who's close to the head of the normalization committee?
Not really. You see, we are in a setting where people have different relationships. And if you want to treat conflict of interest on just the potential of it, nature of it, we may not have anybody to do any job at all in this country. Okay. Because many relationships, remote relationships exist.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there, but I'll take your final words as to why. How can you even convince anybody, I mean, you said a lot of things about what you need to do, but if I gave you, let's say, 30 seconds to convince viewers that you're the right person, why should people vote for you?
Fellow football people, fellow Ghanaians, I believe that we need somebody with integrity to help us restore the integrity of the sport. We need somebody who has gone through the mill in various departments. I have been through the football player athlete management. I've been through sports sponsorship. I've been through the legal side of the game. I've been a club owner, and I know the problems that you go through. I've come on a tour meeting all of you delegates, and I know the peculiar problems you go in, and I've proposed practical solutions to same. I've demonstrated enough commitment to wanting to lead the football family to change things. We need a new direction. We cannot do things the same way and expect a different results. I'm asking you to give me 4 years. Let's not talk about the second term. Give me 4 years to help change the fortunes of Ghana football. Let's live beyond meager salaries. Let's live beyond lack of funding, lack of sponsorship. Let's move this game to another level. Let's bridge the gap between us and our compatriots and counterparts on the African continent, North Africa to be precise.
GFA beyond what? Lack of funds?
Yeah, corruption, lack of funds.
GFA beyond lack of funds, GFA beyond corruption.
Nepotism, cronyism.
Okay, we hear you. I wish you all the best,
Nanayo.
Nanayo Ponsah, he is seeking to be GFA president. Now he's got a manifesto here, and I'm sure that he's been sharing it around. Well, grab a copy, take a look at what he says he has, and then you can decide for yourself whether or not he deserves your votes. Nanayo, once again, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.